Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, retail professionals, and welcome to episode 29 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Executive Editor of Total Retail. Today I'm joined by Joe Milano, Senior Vice President, General Manager, Digital Retail and E-commerce for Saks Fifth Avenue. We're going to be discussing Saks' efforts to personalize the shopping experience, no matter the channel the customer chooses to engage the company in. Thanks for joining me, Joe.
Thanks for having me on, Joe. Pleasure to chat with you about what we're up to here.
So the first question is, can you talk a little bit about some of the ways that Saks Fifth Avenue is attempting to personalize the shopping experience, particularly for its online shoppers?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to kind of jump in and give you an idea of some of the things we're doing here at Saks. You know, for me, when I joined the company, one of my biggest priorities was, finding ways to really connect the online business with, the fact that we have a really wonderful in-store population of associates that drive a lot of the engagement with our customers. And, we don't really have that online unless you consider some of the automated tools. So we went out looking for a technology and we were able to find a great partner in a company called Salesforce that allowed us to really create these one-to-one relationships, which we think is one of the biggest drivers of success in terms of creating relationships and successful relationships with our customers. And from a feedback perspective, we've heard that's absolutely been the case, especially when we see some of the results from this new technology we've rolled out.
So, Joe, you mentioned that Saks has multiple sales channels. Can you talk about personalizing that experience no matter how the customer chooses to shop with the brand? Absolutely.
I think, jumping right in and talking a little bit more in depth about what I just mentioned with the new technology we have, what we did was we were able to take what was traditionally an e-commerce experience that is driven by, your straight product recommendations, algorithmic engines, and really make it more personalized by allowing our associates to connect with their clients, both existing clients, but also new customers online in a really dynamic way, utilizing the technology through Salesforce. And what Saks is able to do is allow those associates to create one-to-one relationships through the site by allowing them to proactively send recommendations based on their experience with that customer, their ability to leverage all of the history they have with that customer to make customized recommendations based on events, based on different life changes they might be happening. I mean, for example, we had a new customer connect with one of our associates through online, book an appointment in the store, and actually make a pretty significant transaction for all new business wardrobe as she re-entered the workplace.
You talking about personalization? Obviously, the engine that's the fuel that's really driving that engine is going to be data. Can you talk about the types of data that Saks is collecting to help with its personalization efforts? And then a second part to that, how is that data shared between the multiple channels that Saks has?
Yeah, sure. That makes sense, Joe. I think, for us, obviously, connecting the channels is, first and foremost, one of the most critical things we do because, our site, which continues to grow and continues to see, significant amounts of traffic, we still see our customers in store, and that's where the primary interaction takes place that allows us to connect, in that, very real form. The types of data we like to look at, obviously, it's traditional stuff around purchase behavior and, things we think about in terms of what types of products they look at and engage with. Those are the types of things that kind of really help set that base layer for us. And I don't want to say critical, but it's really hypercritical, actually, that we connect the in-store experience to the online experience in a really dynamic way. And not just from the data that powers the engine that does things behind the scenes, but also that we put that data and information into our associates' hands. I mentioned, earlier, we were talking a little bit about the technology powering this new initiative for us. What we've seen is very significant change in the way customers transact online when they interact with the associate. It's very much more powerful than what you would see in your traditional just online e-commerce business.
With that information, I'm assuming then your store associates feel empowered. They're able to more confident in their ability to sell. Can you talk about the effect that it's had on your in-store associates?
Yeah, so I actually went out and I've done some of these trainings myself. I participated with multiple stores within the chain, which has been fantastic because at the end of the day, those associates on the ground, those are the people that are really interacting with the customer on a daily basis, and they really understand and are able to provide that feedback with the customer saying. So it's been pretty eye opening. And from their perspective, they've seen this as one of the biggest game changers. In fact, a couple of the comments I heard were, this is the best training, the best tools we've had in a long time here. And what it's done is it's connected the in-store and online experience from an associate's perspective, and I think no other way that we've seen in the past. Because you talked about the confidence to sell. Well, it connects them with the online business in a way that really aligns the incentive program so that they are rewarded for working with online in a really unique way. And it does expose them to that extended aisle assortment that we carry online.
Yeah, really gives them a vested interest. Can you discuss a little bit about the business benefits that Saks is hoping to realize from this increased use of personalization, both online and in store?
Sure. I think, first and foremost, it's allowing us to build stronger, more loyal relationships between the customer and Saks Fifth Avenue. All of our information and data really points to, and this is not unique to Saks, I'm sure, in that, the more loyal your customer is, the better that customer is to you and the better you can be to them. So for us, obviously the business benefit is we retain people and we're able to know more about them. And then we're able to solve more problems for them. And ultimately, by doing that, we're really putting the customer first and creating that long-lasting relationship.
And then my last question, Joe, can you just talk a little bit about what Saks is doing to continually improve the shopping experience of its customers as you go forward here?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the technology that we've recently leveraged here at Saks with Salesforce. We're going to continue to do some things around that by exposing to new customers, really allowing them to self-select in, to make really solid recommendations back. Because at the end of the day, the customer comes to us to be inspired, but also to solve real problems that they have. And, it's interesting saying they have a fashion problem, but they look at it as that's something that they spend their time in. And we want to be there for them to help solve those problems for them. So clearly, we're going to continue to enhance that. And on top of that, we're going to always be looking at how we look at the online and in-store experience combined and how we continue to improve upon that through personalization, clearly, first and foremost, which we've talked a lot about. So secondly, the core buying experience is something that we are relentless about improving upon. So whether that's speed, service, the right products at the right time, that is something that we cannot stay too focused on here at Saks.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Joe Milano of Saks Fifth Avenue for his time. Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on iTunes and Stitcher. And make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.